Ladies and gentlemen, the revolution.
Prince wanted a story based on his career. We said, go.
It was about creating a reality that an audience would respond to.
Purple Rain is the pinnacle of the whole Prince and the Revolution experience.
Nobody gave us 2 shots in hell to pull us off.
Some people thought it was just a glorified music video. They were wrong. It was a great movie.
People realized that there was something special going on.
The whole experience was over the top.
Prince had worked so hard on 1999, double record set, toured endlessly. And so he was at a point where he wasn't yet a superstar, but he was right at that point of doing it. So everybody was waiting, what's your next move going to be?
Prince had been writing a movie for a few years. He was always walking around with his notebook and on the plane and thinking of things. And he's a really creative person. You know, so it was just brewing. It was ready to happen.
There really was a Purple Notebook, and by early 1983, the word had spread in the camp that this writing was largely his ideas for what turned out to be the script for Purple Rain.
I remember Prince sitting me down, and he said, what would you think if we did a movie? And I said, a movie? I go, really, that sounds exciting. Okay, let's do it. That was about it. I said, great, let's go.
First, after I got over the initial shock of it, I thought it would be really cool, but I just didn't know going in, being a kid from the streets and stuff, from the ghetto, I didn't know what to expect.
We knew it was going to be about us, and we knew there was going to be music in it, and you wanted to do a good job. It was your chance to shine, and, you wanted to do it.
So I finally spoke to Prince. I said, what exactly are you after? He said, well, I'm being very specific. I want to star in a movie, I want my name above the title, and I want it to be at a major studio. And so began the saga. We were going to shoot this movie in Minneapolis. If we waited too long, winter would set in. So we decided to go ahead, and we began hiring and setting up the film without a deal.
Bob Cavallo was now looking for someone to helm Prince's first feature.
We were first-time producers, first-time actors, shooting in the fall and perhaps winter in Minneapolis. I went to every director in town, and they all, of course, passed. And eventually I heard about a director named Jamie Foley and went to screen his film.
And they offered Jamie the opportunity to make the movie. He subsequently passed on the script and told the producer that he should talk to me about directing it, since I had done a film at USC about jazz musicians, and music was kind of the thing that I was into.
So we just said, okay, Albert, you're it. And I was shocked to learn that he had passed.
I stared at the phone for about 5 minutes, and then I picked up the phone again, and I called Bob Cavallo back, and I said, listen, I think you and I should meet.
A week later we meet, and instead of having a script with him, he actually shoots the movie verbally, in full voice, kneeling, jumping up and down, in the aisles. Everyone heard his take on the movie. And I got excited. I almost cheered at the end. It was so clever.
Prince originally was just thinking of the film as being more a cult kind of thing, just a rock film, we were this weird family in Minneapolis of these people that just had a thing going on, that we were going to make a movie about. But Al Magnoli said to Prince, if you're going to make a movie, let's make a hit movie.
When you're around somebody with as clear a vision and the kind of unbridled ambition and focus that Prince has for anything he believes in, it is kind of intoxicating.
All of a sudden, Prince has a meeting with us and says that we got to go to acting school, we got to go to these dance lessons and stuff. And so it's like, okay, it's a little bit different than playing the drums, but
And the whole group of us, like the just jazz dance.
Yeah, it was just like the jazz hands.
It was a very surreal experience, but we were very prepared nonetheless.
We were all different ages and at different periods of our lives, and I mean, it was a movie on its own.
This was Wendy's first.
I was out of high school.
Like, okay, here, Purple Rain.
I heard through the grapevine that you had a new tune written by a couple great girls. Did you hear it?
The people in the film from our camp were literally playing themselves. So here's an opportunity for guys like Jesse Johnson and Jerome Benton and Morris Day and Wendy and Lisa and Bobby Z to kind of play out their personas. And Prince encouraged that.
We wanted it to be sort of the Prince story without it being the Prince story, which was exciting for us.
Al Magnoli was calling everybody in and saying, here's where Prince is going with these ideas, and let's come up with some scenarios that would make sense to you and your relationship to him.
You should know by now that we wouldn't put a dark cloud over your head.
So the conflicts that are shown in the movie that Wendy and Lisa have with Prince and the rest of the bandmates was real. So that became a core element to the aspect of the movie and the genesis of their relationship.
The thing I remember about Prince, though, back in that day, was that he was the hardest working person ever.
Prince was at his peak. The music was unlike anything else, and it just lifted the movie up.
He produced way more than he released or played for anybody.
Prince asked me if I would come by and listen to some of the music that he had been accumulating for this particular picture. Essentially, he had 100 songs fully produced. The amazing thing about it is that in those 12 songs that I ultimately picked, Purple Rain did not exist yet.
We were very close to starting shooting, and we didn't have our girl yet.
I'd say we saw anywhere between 500 and 1,000 women between Los Angeles and New York. And they all arrived with the vanity look, you know, leather, stiletto boots, and everything else. It was fantastic. But the interesting thing is Apollonia shows up wearing just the baggiest sweats. And what came through in the interview with her was just that she was very sweet, tremendously accessible. So I called up Prince and I said, listen, I think we just got lucky here. You know, in the 11th hour, as this usually is, I have someone here that's just terrific.
She's a nice girl, but she was the actress. None of us had acted before.
She was very beautiful and just perfect for the part.
We were set to start shooting November 1st. The crews were all into Minneapolis. We were ready to go. And the producers very wisely said, is there anything you can shoot in these next couple of days, you know? And I said, well, I don't want to shoot any dialogue, but if you get me a helicopter, you can shoot all of the motorcycle shots. The music, Take Me With You, was written specifically with that in mind. That wasn't part of the 100 songs that he had given me originally.
It's really a nice scene. It's one of the only scenes that's outdoors, and you get that feeling of release. Yeah, just a breakaway.
I think the temperature was about 68, 69. It was gorgeous, beautiful autumn day. After those 2 days, the temperature plummeted to about 20 degrees. And we then started our production with Apollonia having to jump into the lake. And I went up to her and I said, you know, you're jumping into water, it's 20 below zero. And she goes, okay.
We had skim divers under the water just to make sure she did not come up. She could have had hypothermia. It was seriously cold in that time.
I went to her and I said, so what are the chances of getting you back in there and actually filming the rest of the scene, which is you coming out? And she said, that isn't going to happen. So it was decided on the spot that she would dive into the water in Minneapolis and reemerge weeks later in Los Angeles.
Winter, it was the biggest challenge.